Hi, I'm astrologer Penny Dix and welcome to another Astrobite. And not just any Astrobite. This is one you will enjoy, especially because it concerns Mercury, our planet of communication, stationing direct today in Pisces. This is super good news. How is this going to affect the beginning of the week? Because it's Monday, the 7th of April, and we are at the beginning of another week of potential roller coaster effects from the fallout of last week's events in the world economy and the famous imposition of tariffs on penguins throughout the planet. But how, in all seriousness, is Mercury direct going to affect all of that and everything that's going on for us personally? Now, before I start with that, I want to refer you to yesterday's Astrobite, because in that Astrobite, I do go into depth into a lot of the energy that we've got around today still, which still holds true. So I'm not going to repeat myself here. I'm really today just giving you a short heads up about Mercury going direct, and just to remind you, we've still got that pivotal position of Uranus in Taurus, sextiling both retrograde Venus conjunct Saturn in Pisces and Mars in Cancer, that in turn is making a trine to Saturn and retrograde Venus. So let's just take Mercury for a while, because it is about thinking. And I wonder whether, with Mercury's stationing direct today, we come into the working week with fresh thought, with fresh eyes. We've had the weekend to consider our own personal situation, how the unfolding events of last week in the financial world may affect us all on a personal level, be it with the security of our job, be it with the security of our own personal money pot. Whatever it is, or however this energy can affect us, Mercury stationing direct, I think, is a positive sign, and I think is going to be super helpful, because I think it's going to guide us towards looking for the solutions to the problem, rather than, as they say, getting stuck in the problem. Now, Mercury today is also conjunct the North Node in Pisces. The North Node, remember, is our collective karmic destiny, and also our individual karmic destiny. This week, with this energy being here on Monday, I think is very significant and powerful. I feel what it will empower us with is the ability to just have some faith, because in the short term, we may all be stung by the events of what's been unfolding. We may all be fearful. Now remember, fear breeds fear. So we don't want to get caught into that kind of energy. Now, I am aware, because I'm recording this on Sunday the 6th, that over the weekend there were demonstrations in large parts of America against the current administration. And it seems they have all been peaceful, which is good news, because, and Mercury going direct may well help them by peacefully making their point, rather than if Mercury perhaps was stationing direct in Aries, where of course it is going to go back into or forwards into, it might be a little bit more fiery in its way of handling things. But I think that whatever it is that unfolds today, Monday, will have long-term effects. Now, a lot of this is going to be how Asia, the European markets, the UK markets, and then eventually the US markets, when they open, all those markets open today, Monday, we will get a sense of whether this Mercury direct is giving people a little bit more kind of courage to take some action and think in a more constructive way, more positively, which I have to say is not easy in Pisces. So I'm kind of trying to err on the side of positivity here, but it may well be with Mercury in Pisces, there is still an element of paranoia and fear and anxiety, and that may be quite difficult to lay those fears to rest. It may not be till Mercury moves back into Aries, which is not long, that'll be soon. And then when it gets into Aries, it may be then that we get a little bit more fire in our belly, especially as we lead up to the full moon in Libra, which is only a week away. And that is going to be a powerful full moon. But what about it being conjunct the North Node? Coming back to that. I think on a personal level, I think it's making us reflective. I feel we will be prudently analysing the best way to proceed within our own circumstances and lives, and looking at how we can make the most of this energy, of how we can go back and reassess our own particular, say, financial situation, where we can trim our cloth, cut our cloth to fit the times. And the other energy that we've still got going on today, apart from the energy I mentioned a bit earlier, cat hairs as always, is that Venus retrograde is still conjunct Saturn in Pisces. And if you remember yesterday, I talked about how Saturn was endeavoring to exert some control onto Venus, where she may be panicking in the numinosity and the lack of clarity of Pisces, because she wants to get home to Taurus, where she rules. And of course, there's a full moon in the other sign that she rules, Libra, and she's working like hard, swimming like mad to get back into a situation where she can have some effect, can put some of her feminine intuition into this situation that we all find ourselves in. So this energy today, as I say, it sets the tone for how the week will unfold. And as I said yesterday, and to continue with what I was talking about yesterday with the mini trine from Uranus to Venus, Uranus to Mars, and Mars in turn back to Venus, is to be prudent, sit tight. These aren't challenging aspects. They are aspects that bring in opportunity. it's, you know, in any difficult situation where we have this kind of disruption and carnage that happened last week, especially on Friday, we have to then look at what we're left with. How can we take from this, on one level, what can we learn from it? How can we learn the right lessons to take us forward into the future? And secondly, what can we take from the rubble of the disruption of last week to rebuild our own personal world in a way that we can manage, that we feel comfortable with, without perhaps losing too much of our sovereignty and ability to feel that we have some control over the direction of our future. You see, if you remember what I said yesterday, I talked about the fact that I think this energy is teaching us to take responsibility. To take responsibility for our own actions, for our own situations, for our own problems, to be the adult, and to, it's like, you know, Uranus in general has woken us up out of this state of sleeping beauty type of sleep. It's like we've been asleep for 100 years. And like it or not, the President of the United States has come along and woken us up. And we don't like the way he's hacked his way through the brambles to get to our castle. But it is what it is, and it has happened. So it's how we proceed forward. And before I go on to the word of the day, Mercury direct is basically saying we can now proceed forward with caution and more knowledge. Now, interestingly, the word for the day is delay, because if you think about it, with Mercury retrograde, we know we get delays. We know we get events cancelled. We get missed appointments. We can't connect with someone. We know those things happen. But whilst Mercury remains in its shadow, which it will do for, and I can't remember exactly how long, but let's say for another couple of weeks roughly, okay, we can still experience delays. So there still may be where we think, oh, great, everything's going to start moving now. I think we've just got to be a bit patient a little bit longer, because it's going to take a bit longer for the things that we would like to see unfold. Remember, next weekend, when we have the full moon in Libra, Venus also goes direct in Pisces. So that is also going to shift the energy up a gear. So that's why I chose the word delay. So let's see what quotes I came up with. Well, I've got Oscar Wilde. Delays are often the greatest blessing. And in a sense, Mercury retrograde, and now in its shadow going direct, is still saying, see me as a blessing. Lao Tzu said, nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished. And just one thing that's come into my mind that I want to say is that I think that the American administration taking the action they took last week, whilst Mercury is retrograde and Venus is retrograde, was not very timely. They will have to backtrack. It's just coming to me now. They will have to go back, I feel, and make concessions. And I think we're going to see that from today because Mercury is going direct. We have an unknown quote here, which is, a delay is not a denial. It's a redirection towards something better. I always say that with the universe, when the universe puts blocks in our way, see them as a blessing, as a timely course direction. There's another unknown quote here, which is, sometimes the best things take time. Trust the process. And that's what we have to do at the moment, whether it's personally, all the delays we may be experiencing in our own lives about maybe changes we want to bring in. You know, I'm sitting here hoping I will, or not hoping, I'm waiting. No, I'm waiting. Yeah, I'm trying to find the right words to use that doesn't delay what I want to happen, which is for the right buyer to turn up to buy my apartment so I can relocate to the UK as soon. But the universe is saying it's not quite yet. So I have to know that the best things take time, and I have to trust the process. That's why these quotes are so good, because, and I know, you know, as we've had this conversation before, some of you don't like them, but I always weave in the astrology, and it's always thought-provoking, and I think it's always helpful, personally. So Ralph Waldo Emerson said, adopt the pace of nature. Her secret is patience. Well, I'll take that. I'll take that. And another unknown quote is, what's meant for you will arrive in divine timing. Not a minute too early or a minute too late. Do you know what? I needed to read these today because before I sat down to do this video, I hadn't really gone through. I just found them and put them into my little file for the video. And now I'm reading through them, and I was feeling a bit, a bit down, a bit. I think, well, you know, how can any of us not be feeling a little bit down after what was going on last week? It's impossible. I can't pretend we're all happy about it because we're not. It does put everything into a kind of fearful kind of state. And what we need is calm. And we need people to be patient and think of the best steps forward. So there's another unknown quote here. We've got a lot of unknown quotes today. Good things come to those who wait, but better things come to those who are patient and persistent. Now, I like that because it reminds me of the lovely quote and I'm going to forget it, but the one about the tortoise and the hare, or the turtle and the hare. Slow and steady wins the race. Aesop fable that Jerry has always said to me from the beginning of starting my channel and my business. Slow and steady wins the race. I think that is also a timely quote to think of at the moment. And yet again, another unknown quote, delays give us the space to reflect, refine, and receive something even greater. Well, I hope these quotes are lifting your positive vibes because they certainly are mine. Garth Brooks said, some of God's greatest gifts are unanswered prayers. Ooh, that's deep. Oof, gosh, when I think back through my life, oh, thank goodness that didn't happen, or that didn't happen. Whew. And you know, this is where sometimes we need to look back and think, oh yeah, wow, that was a lucky escape. Whew, thank goodness I didn't force that one. So try, and it is about us getting out of our own way and trusting the sort of the divine master plan, the divine timing of Saturn conjunct Venus, the divine timing of Mercury going direct and Venus going direct in a week's time. And finally, another quote by Joyce Meyer. Patience is not simply the ability to wait. It's how we behave while we're waiting. And, you know, that's a good insight, because it's about not just sitting waiting, which we're all prone to do. I am, I know. It actually, what triggers that is the kind of irritation and anger that we can't make what we want to happen now. So we get frustrated. But if we think about how we behave while we're waiting, whilst we're being patient, then it is actually about focusing off what it is you're waiting for. Because if you keep waiting, you'll just keep waiting. And doing the things that you can do. So I sit down and record some videos, and then time passes and we're in a different place, and I feel different and better. So on that note, let's see how things unfold this week. And I'll be back soon. And also my full moon in Libra video will be up sometime this week. I'm going to record it now, actually. And we'll see what that one is going to bring us in terms of resolutions, change, endings. Okay, on that note, thanks so much for coming. And please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And remember, if you do want to have a session, then you can find me via my website, pennydix.com. So I'm going to do the full moon video now. Take care. Have a great day. Bye for now. Bye.